Welcome, welcome. This is the Vicky 3 Academy. I'm Walker, and here we are. We're discussing serfdom and labor rights today. It's mostly going to be about serfdom, but there are some really meaningful things to discuss in regards to these guys. So I don't want to minimize that, but I think labor rights is one of these things that's kind of each one of these deserves its own video. So I don't want to bowl over the importance of workers' protection, but the beginning of the game, when people are interpreting things, I think it's important that people understand that this difference, just that difference, is absolutely critical on the outcome for your society. So here we have serfdom. We're Russia. Serfdom is going to give us an extra 50% strength to the landowners over here, but it's also going to do something to the nature of our production, much in the same way that slavery does stuff to the nature of our production. Oh, not those guys. It's on the subsistence farms. So it's going to create this subsistence farm production method called serfdom. If we were, however, in serfdom abolished, then we'd be here. Big difference, the biggest difference, in fact, is that here we see grain is being produced, and here we see subsistence output is being produced. So subsistence output, we can go from one to the next to the next. But it basically just creates a form of in-kind income peasants are going to generate. So they pay themselves, and it's not subject to income tax. So it makes it so that the serfs, or for that matter, free people working on subsistence farms have a way to keep themselves alive, even though they're not really producing like a particularly efficient giant bundle of goods. Subsistence farms, this is why people like rail against them. They are a generalist thing, and they do get you some stuff. They create a lot of wood for you, which is a good thing because it lets you get your construction rolling, and they create a little bit of services and some grain, and maybe that lets you do grain tax or whatever. But like, you can see pretty clearly that because of the massive impact to their own ability to increase their own standard of living from just a whole extra point of subsistence output, being in free peasants is a big difference in terms of the strength of the lower class in your country, especially the rural folk. It's going to give them an awful lot more wealth, and therefore it's going to really power up your rural folk versus versus these guys. So keep that in mind always. The other thing when it comes to serfdom over here, that it does disallow some of these other actions. That's important to keep in mind too. That interventionism, laissez-faire, and command economy are all very advanced economic systems that we will discuss probably we'll discuss in another video. But it's a very powerful thing to switch out from serfdom towards serfdom abolished. But that's kind of not where the battle stops. You also have these regulatory bodies. These are going to be important if you just have like dangerous working conditions and you have the ability to throw bureaucracy at it. Then you almost certainly want to pick up regulatory bodies, because you're going to add a lot of dangerous working conditions factors to your country as you play, because it's going to be efficient, right? Like, you're not going to not use dynamite just because people die. You're going to use dynamite. And so then you want to have something that's going to help reduce the dangerous working conditions problems, reduce mortality, keep your population high, keep it productive, keep it moving, keep it growing. And then we get down to workers' protections. Workers' protections is going to be one of these that I think we really do need to just like have a separate dedicated minimum wage video. So I'm not going to get too far into this minimum wage thing, but that is a dramatic transformation. When you have a minimum wage in your economy, it's going to operate. Your economy is going to operate very differently. So to the point where in the effort of time, I think we will not discuss the minutia of minimum wage in this, save to say that they must pay a fraction of a standard normal wage. So they have to pay people. So it's gonna create a lot of opportunities where you're gonna have to subsidize industries, or people are going to lose their jobs because people are going to have to get paid stuff. And especially the things that are lower down on the chain of production, where people are not going to be getting paid as much no matter what in a developed economy, those people are going to need government subsidies. So if you go in the direction of that minimum wage, then you almost certainly want to make sure that you have interventionism or command economy online, just so you can keep those like low tier resource extraction people employed, especially if it's a low tier that isn't going to be dramatically overused. All right, well that's it. I think we will have a separate or no, not there. We'll have a separate conversation about workers' rights and minimum wage. I think that deserves its own video. All right, that's Walker. Take care.